So welcome back to Project Independence and You. My name is Rebecca Miller. I'm your guest host today, and our co-host, of course, is Otto Los, and the Kristina Lou Hour. The Talk of the Town Hour with Kristina Lou, who is the radio show producer extraordinaire. And I like to say that because it really is extraordinary that for 9 years plus, every single show that has been aired and archived has been produced by Kristina. All the guests, all the breakdown, you name it, she has coordinated it, and it is now, we're now in our 9th year.
She has a Guinness record.
She does. I read about that, but not for this. No, maybe for this. So Kristina.
Just one thought about Kathleen before we stop that. I thought it was great. She's very easy to talk with, and she never brought it up, but she is running for re-election on election day. So people should be aware of that. And obviously they can vote for whatever way they want. We don't tell people who to vote for, but
no, we don't.
No, but vote. That's the key.
Right. So it was really great talking to her and hearing all the great things she does and is, so current, and really hope that, we have an opportunity to work with her further. So what's happening in the town, Kristina?
Wow, well, it was really a wonderful segment. It flew by. I looked down and I was doing some work, and all of a sudden the hour was over. It was really informative, and it's, I say this every week, and it's just great again to have a guest on the show who, there's just so much going on in this, and just to hear like the different branches of government and how everything is kind of, handling this issue. And she had such great information. So that was you guys did a fabulous job on that one. I really enjoyed that segment. And Project Independence is super busy, which is actually very exciting. I was working on, there's going to be a program that will be coming out soon. It should be kicking off sometime in November, and it's going to be a workshop series for one of our social workers, Gina, is going to help guide different seniors on the path of recording your experiences on paper. It's really designed to be kind of like a therapeutic journaling program. And whether it's poetry or short stories, whatever their mode might be. She's been going to a lot of trainings. We had a wonderful meeting on it, and just the benefits of doing something like that are actually incredible. And I think it'd be, the whole point too is to focus on, kind of creating positive things during this time. So this has actually become a very big program virtually in the current climate. So.
It's so funny because, not funny, but, Kathleen Rice, Congresswoman Rice, was talking a lot about a lot of the things that, we do at Project Independence, journaling, writing, keeping in touch with people. There's so much stuff that we do, when she was talking about, connect, pick up the phone, do this. And I'm like, everything she said, I'm thinking of all the programs, neighbors helping neighbors. Well, we do that, we do these things. So, and then when she was talking about Judy, of course, and all that we do here. So we really, other places should really kind of just try to replicate, because it is.
No, it is constantly, new and innovative programming. And I have to say that about Project Independence, over the years, we always try to kind of reinvent certain things and come up with new ideas and stay, current with what's going on. And obviously, as you said, Beck, that really, it shows that PI is doing that. And I think this program really will be wonderful. And the woman that we were talking to that does this program, she actually does it with people who have been incarcerated. And it's a very set program. And she was saying she feels that via Zoom, as opposed to, being in a room all together, that people felt even more comfortable to kind of share. They kind of had this little security blanket that, you're able to share more through this medium. So she actually thought it was working out better than when they're actually just sitting in a thing. So I'm excited. I hope a lot of people do this, because I think, we're always trying to tell people during this time, whether because you've been home, whatever it might be, to kind of stay active, keep your brain active. And, I just think it'll be wonderful. So,
yeah.
And it was great. We had one of our advisory committees yesterday for one of the first ones for October. And we were asking the advisory members to share, things that they've learned through this pandemic, how to prepare. Becky put together like a really great checklist we should actually touch upon, after. But one of the advisory members was saying, which I loved, that on her own, she's got her little group of friends and they have little Zoom events.
I know.
Watch
movies together.
They watch, they do a Netflix party together, so they'll watch Netflix. Then they were doing, and they keep coming up with new ways, and we're doing crafts, so everyone kind of was doing a different craft. There was something else that she was saying, but it was great because they keep trying to think of new ways to kind of, and new themes and topics. And it just seemed really nice to know that people, and seniors especially, are embracing this forum, even outside of Project Independence.
Right.
So.
Yes. So important.
You used the word incarcerated before.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that would be the worst thing that could happen to me in my life, would be to be put in jail, basically. And I've heard people say during this COVID process that they feel like they're in jail. I think that becomes an attitude situation as well.
Right.
If you're really in jail, you don't have a recliner that you're sitting in. You don't have a television to watch. You don't have the ability to do a Zoom with people. There are ways of, you're in jail, but you're not really,
Right.
I mean, you're in a nice house, or hopefully, and, things like the program you just described are available. You just have to reach out and do them. They don't come to you. You have to go to them,
No,
and I think
it's right. And that's, what we always say is that this point of the show is to get the information out there, and listen, if you're interested in doing it, you'll do it. If not, then you're not. So it's really, it also boils down to, as Otto was saying, it's part of you kind of taking control and empowering your own self, about if you want to stay active, or you could, if you want to sit back and not do anything, then that's your prerogative, whatever it might be. But I just think we're very fortunate, especially in North Hempstead, because I really believe we have such a group of seniors who are so active and so creative in their own lives. And I also want to remind people too, we have a volunteer, Barbara Melman, who is our technology guru for Project Independence. And she, since the very beginning, offered to provide over the phone Zoom assistance. So it really started basically, how do you join a meeting, whatever it might be. But which is great is now it's kind of progressed into, she'll help people if they want to host their own meeting. So like I was saying, earlier, with this senior who has, gathers all of her friends together, so you could do it on your own too. And I think that that's really great, in addition. So you could really be busy like 24/7 if you really wanted to, with all these programs that are going on. So if you're interested in that, you want to be part of it, I want to encourage people. It is such a user-friendly forum, this Zoom programs for people. So I think everyone should kind of partake in it. If you have access to a smartphone or, an iPad, or a computer,
you can
whatever.
Call in too.
Exactly. Right? That's what I was going to say too. And that's what's really nice too. And we get that a lot. Obviously, it's nice to have the visual component, but the idea that you could really still, be a part of the conversation and discussion by just picking up your telephone. And that's very easy too. You just call 311 or 869-6311 for any programs that I'm going to announce today that Project Independence is doing. And you can really be part of it. And like I said, it's a low pressure stress situation. So
you know what I was thinking about, Kay? I thought that's like so kind of interesting. And the seniors that tend to be more at-home seniors, for whatever reason, that they have to stay at home, or just, in general, maybe they're old, older, or a lot older, especially than Otto, that they're utilizing Project Independence now for the first time, with the virtual programs. If they're watching North Hempstead television and they turn on, they'll see, hey, we did Fun Day Monday, we're doing virtual exercise. So we're actually getting new Project Independence members who never utilized us before because, they're mostly homebound. And they're able to partake. I mean, I can't tell you how many, especially with the fitness classes, how many people call and thank us and said, I didn't know I could exercise from my chair. I didn't know that, Project Independence provided all this stuff. So, I mean, happily, the supervisor was even talking about yesterday, just continuing, this even after COVID, it sounds like there's going to be a place for virtual exercise. So
yeah, well, that's
really,
what I was actually, I always think of that's so wonderful about this is that, because this forum really, obviously in person, everyone loves, but the fact that this really did open up, so many people who, weren't using the program, and to make it easier, I think it's going to be something that we're going to somehow have to figure out how to like weave into, when we do in-person things, because I think, on top of people, having some kind of disability at home, just also having the on-demand kind of feature that a lot of these things do. You can watch it at your luxury. Really, I think is people are interested in.
Well, there was a very, very good article in the Pioneer by Joan Ortiz, and basically its heading is "Finding the Silver Lining in PI Virtual Programming." Joan Ortiz, I've known, she's been involved with Project Independence right from the early stages. And, you can't tell from that article, but Joan is a warrior, actually. She has disabilities and she has mobility issues and so on. But prior to COVID, she would work very hard at getting to all kinds of different events, if you will. And her article really reinforces what you're talking about. She is so happy that she can now do all these things virtually because she had such a difficulty traveling and getting wherever, to all the meetings. So that just reinforces exactly what you're talking about. And if people did get the Pioneer, it'd be worth looking at that little article, really.
Absolutely. And what was I going to say? I also we were talking about gaining membership, and it's so funny because I actually just did this right now, because yesterday we were at 14,999 PI members, and we officially just broke it. We're at 15,002 members as of right now. So
15,000 members.
And
so
two.
that and two, more important, right? 15,002. So Otto, I want to know what number Otto was. Was he like 6, 4? We'll have to look back.
I know. I'm gonna have to check that out.
We'll have to check that out. I'm going to say
what I want to, encourage people, and we're saying 15,000, right? And these are official members who have, called into 311 and got, a service request number. I really believe the number is so much bigger, especially now with these virtual programming and whatnot.
Yeah.
People are participating in things that aren't necessarily documented. So it's like, you always want to like know the exact thing. So, but I mean, just the fact that officially, in the records that it's 15,000, I think, I remember just celebrating, it feels like yesterday, the 10,000, it's
we had a party for that.
Yeah. Right. So but it's really exciting. And with the Pioneer, what I always love, when it gets, to see the response that comes in, once it gets delivered. And I saw so many people, because when the service requests come in and I could see what different names are registering for programs, there were so many new names that I haven't seen before. So I think it's really great. People saw this, and there was tons of people signing up for a lot of the Medicare update programs. Mm-hmm. And whether they were calling about the St. Francis, they wanted to be connected to a social worker or a nurse. So when you see, the response, and it's working, it really makes you feel good,
Yeah.
Well, I've said it a number of times. I was in the corporate world and I'm still somewhat in it, frankly, but for a long time, 40 plus years easy. And this has given me more satisfaction than any of those things that I've ever been involved with, for the reason that when it started, nobody really knew what this program was. It was very, very small. It was that track in New Hyde Park, at Newark, and there were only a handful of people involved. And the big question was, will anybody really ever know what this program is? I say it's a great program, but so who cares? Nobody knows about it. So how do you get the word out? Well, the word is out, and people do know about it, and it has only grown. And frankly, it's grown with just about the same number of people it had very early on in the program. This isn't like a bureaucracy that all of a sudden there's 300 people working in this place. It's not the case. There's like a handful of people that do this whole thing, and you all deserve a super A+ for your efforts and the direction that the program takes. It's always going in the direction of what the people are looking for, not what your ego might be looking for, which is different than a corporate world in many, many ways. Although I'm sure there are charity type operations where ego runs the program as well. That is not the case here, and that starts right with Judy, and it works its way to all of you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I can't give credit often enough. It's just a great program, and the people who are involved with it, such as yourselves, are excellent. You do what you have to do to make the program work, and help people along the way live a good quality of life is what it comes down to, while they can. Someday everybody's quality of life is going to go down the tubes a little bit, but so be it. That's the way it's going to work. But in the meantime, you do the best you can to have a good quality of life, and Project Independence definitely enables people to have a better quality of life. So again,
Otto would say, thank you. I mean, it's so nice to hear. And I was actually just having this conversation with Paul Ewell, who's one of our other deputy commissioners for our department. And, we were saying, what's just, you forget sometimes, that because we just kind of kick into gear and everyone just pulls, whatever, like the crisis is, and it's like, let's just get it done. So we were talking about like just the fact that, being in this situation and the turnaround of, being locked down, we're home, all of us out of the office, and how do we keep some kind of continuity of programming, and the fact that we were able to get that up and running, in collaboration with the supervisor so fast was really just incredible. And I was thinking, everyone here, our nurses and our social workers who reached out to all these people and kept in contact, and doing weekly phone calls, you think about that, like everyone has their own stuff going on, their own lives, and everyone has individually been going through personally stuff during this time. And the fact that aside still was able to connect, and it's like you would love to really know and quantify just the comfort level that Project Independence gave residents, especially when this first happened and it was, new territory. Now, I mean, everyone still kind of has their anxious levels, but at least there's a little, you kind of somewhat know what's going on, most days. But I just think the fact that it really, and to hear that, because I remember in the beginning, seniors were calling and saying, talking to a nurse and a social worker during this time is my lifeline. And when you hear something like that, it really just takes your breath away, because it's like, so many seniors were home. Now they can't see their family, and it created this complete isolation. So knowing that, this Project Independent social worker nurse would give you a call and, walk you through your fears, whether it was fears about getting food or transportation or what's happening, or getting a mask. It was just, there was not any question could be asked, so there was really not one question a social worker or nurse wouldn't lead you to, whether they had the answer or would connect you to, some kind of resource. So I have to just give them the utmost, praise, because they are the ones that were really, on the ground, on the phone. And it's really wonderful. So if you need anything, I just want to call 311 or 869-6311. There is no question that's silly or, not going to get answered. You're never going to be just, oh, sorry, can't help you. And that's just never going to happen. So I really just want to encourage people to do that and take advantage of these great programs. And
one of the things that Otto was saying that I just want to kind of elaborate on a little bit was, with our DOSA staff, of course, the supervisor is fabulous. I mean, she, like any programs that we come up with, she's just, go for it as long as it's supporting the seniors. But, talking about our DOSA staff, we all wear so many different hats, Otto, as you know. And we have been the original staff. I mean, I think Shari, who's our mobility manager, was the last person that we hired full time, right?
Yep.
And that was about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe 8. Gosh, when? So probably about 7 years ago. And all of us, everybody else who's with DOSA, between Kristina, myself, Paul, and Nancy, have been here longer, and we're all still here. And, when we were just a small NORC, and then we started growing from that, to be there at that critical point where you really get ingrained in what Project Independence is, and also how much we learned about the different regions of the town. We slowly went into Call Place Westbury. We slowly went into Great Neck, and there's a lot difference between, say Great Neck, where there's so many apartments,
right,
and maybe Roslyn, where there are so many homes, and the different needs. And, of course, Great Neck is we have the oldest population in Great Neck, and, other areas have a younger population. So there's so many things that we learned about the town, and then when we form those advisory committees within each of those regions, that's where we really learn a lot more about it. But, from all that experience and going from the NORC, then branching out, and then kind of settling in and providing the services, and then technology comes in, and all of us are just like, not to toot our own horn, and that's not the purpose of it, but we're pros, with this. And what we've learned is that we also have to adapt to change.
Yep.
It can't just be the same thing. I mean, the programs that worked 10 years ago, maybe work, but they've all been adjusted. When we use, Neighbors Helping Neighbors years ago for a different scenario. So we adjusted it to how it fits best in now. And, it can't just be, we can't do that. So, and we all, because of the process, wear so many different hats, and things have changed, and maybe some programming's changed. I mean, like take Kristina, for instance. Many people that don't know her, only know her through the radio show, have absolutely no idea that maybe she's also a social worker, that she was an intern that started here with Project Independence with Paula, that she also pulls together the Project Independence newsletter, does all the programming, is the main person for the communications department. I mean, the list goes on and on. She tracks all the significant data for the human service department. So, I mean, it's just endless. So there's so many different things. I find myself doing things sometimes that it's like, oh, okay, I could do that. All right, you know what? Yeah, definitely, I'll do that.
What's funny, because Otto has said this numerous times, because we always talk about, different places trying to replicate this program. And you try, we've met with every township, basically over the years,
Absolutely.
even in other states, how to kind of replicate this. And, what I think, because I remember Otto always saying this, what makes the program stand out is because it's still, no matter what, after all this time, has this kind of grassroots, local, small feel. So the fact that it hasn't become this giant corporation is, I think, allows it to kind of give it that feel. All of us over the years, since we have been there so long, have relationships with so many seniors, and everyone's kind of grown and gone through different life cycles together. So I think that also adds to the quality of this. And for other places that want to replicate it, I think that's probably something they need to think about.
Otto has that look, like he wants to bring something up.
Two things, really. One is continuity of the people involved with this program has made a major difference. Whenever you have a program with this continuity and people willing to adapt to what goes on next, you're going to wind up with something good, as opposed to constant churn, turnover, new, people. I won't use the phrases I was thinking, but new people sort of setting their, putting their mark on the ground, if you will. All right. That's one area, the continuity. But the second one was I had the opportunity back when, as a result of your mother's request, to go to all of the first advisory committee meetings that took place in each of the regions.
Well,
And
let's say I'm Rebecca, my mother's Evelyn Roth, and she was the original commissioner for the
right,
Department of Services for the Aging.
right. And she deserves a lot of credit for where we are today.
Absolutely.
Back then, her and Madge Kaplan uh,
Yes.
was another great lady. So anyhow, the point of the whole thing is I go to these advisory committees in these different communities, and there's no question that every community has its own um, vibes, if you will, its own surroundings culturally, and in a lot of different ways. And the initial meetings in many cases were um, very, very raw and basic, in that people really didn't know what we were talking about.
Right.
And the questions were kind of very, very, very basic, and kind of things you thought people would know, but they didn't. So that was required a little bit of a lower look at the program. And then as time evolved, um, I see it in New Hyde Park, who I've been involved with right from day one.
Mhm.
The level of the conversations at these advisory committee meetings has gotten uh, so much more meaningful, if you will.
Mhm.
There's more meat there, and good ideas, and people. The program is understood. So now we get into
Right.
more detail about
Right.
things like Medicare. Uh, what's the program? What do I have to do? Blah blah blah. Um, so my point of that is that there are a lot of new people coming along, and every advisory committee, in my judgment, is ultimately going to need fresh blood. All right. They need people who are the younger seniors, the ones who just turned 65. You need the older to offset a little bit of the thinking. And I encourage people to get involved with the advisory committee. You don't get paid. It's a volunteer situation. You become a much more involved person in the community where you live, because you know a little more about what's going on. And you may be able to contribute because of life experience. We've all gone through things in our life. Uh, I look back and I thought in the beginning, what am I really going to bring to the table here? All right. I
And
was
look
in the
at him now.
business.
He's the
Yeah, I
face of
mean,
PI.
I
yeah,
know.
I was in the business world, and I was in sales management and in sales to corporations all my business life, basically. So I said, well, what the hell is that going to do for aging in place? And then I thought about it as we went along, and I realized I know more than I think.
Hmm.
And that's just based on life experience. If you pay attention to what's going on around you, you see what people go through. You went through it yourself, and whether you know it or not, you learn during
Yeah.
these experiences. You don't sit there and say, "Oh, wow, I'm really learning a lot today." I think one day you look back and you realize, "Hey, I learned quite a bit here." So people's experience, life experience, is very valuable to a program like Project Independence, and I encourage people to share that with others, because as time marches on, people in those committees are going to get older. We've seen it with many people already, and the newer people have to come along and get involved. So I
No, and I
encourage
think
that.
that that's, important, because I always think about too, so many of our advisory committee members have been there, as Otto said, since the beginning, and they really are, they're our ambassadors, because they're invested in the program. They know the program, the basics, and the fact that they then go out to their community or their groups or their family, or they meet someone in a store and tell them, about the program, I think is it's really great, because and that's such a huge collaboration piece to Project Independence. And like I said, I want to encourage people to join an advisory committee. You can go one month and not the other month. So if you're interested, the October round is really just kicking off. So you could call 311 or 869-6311 and get a Zoom link sent to you. But I just want to remind people that next week we have a very exciting topic I want to get to so everyone knows. We have Thomas Kamber, who is the Executive Director of Older Adults Technology Services, otherwise known as OATS. And he's going to talk about older adults technology services that are being provided. So I'm excited to hear that. I think that's certainly going to be an informative thing, because outside of Project Independence, there's a lot of virtual stuff going on too. So check that out. Also, what Otto had touched upon that I want to remind people, Project Independence, to become a member, it's 60 years and beyond. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge, chunk of years. And that's something we've really worked on throughout time, is really kind of having something for everyone. And it's something that it's nice to see, people might sign up in their 60s that are interested in the exercise programs, or they want to be helping volunteer, so they start off with that. And then what's nice is that as time goes on, they might be interested in different services. So I think Project Independence really can follow you through that kind of lifespan of things. And I really want to remind people that you can be as involved as you want to be, or as not involved. It's free to sign up, so it can't hurt you.
Right. I mean, there are people, I think it's funny sometimes when I ask people, oh, are you a Project Independence member? And they're like, no, I just use the transportation program and take the fitness classes. I'm like, well, then you're a member, you're taking part in the programming. So, it's so hard to encourage kind of the younger seniors to join, because right. You hear Project Independence and you think it's, it's an aging in place program. And, the fact is we're all aging in place, no matter what age you are. Right. So, but like Kristina was saying, in that kind of vein, it's not just about, human service and there are other things. And it's good to know that, hey, if you have an appointment with the doctor in the town of North Hempstead and you're 60 or over and you shouldn't drive, maybe you're having a minor procedure, you can utilize the transportation program. You can watch, the virtual programs, or you can just sign up and just know that you've signed up, and eventually, maybe you'll need a service, kind of like how you kind of evolve through. You start out, kind of maybe not needing as much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's.
I think we have so many caregivers, in North Hempstead, whether it's a spouse or a child out of state. There's so many different things, and that's something that has really, as Project Independence grew, became more of a thing. You have people calling from all different walks of life, trying to get information for the senior, and you're able to do that. And I think that that's really something wonderful, because that in itself gives, a peace of mind to the situation. So,
Kristina, isn't there there's something coming up about caregivers during COVID?
Yes. So that's actually, it's going to be called COVID and Caregiving. It's through the Alzheimer's Foundation is going to be presenting that. I'm waiting for it actually to be approved, the flyer. But it's really, I think, an important topic, because especially during this time, it's been, tricky and certainly difficult to kind of navigate through this. So that's going to be a great program. I just got a phone call that they're actually going to come on the radio too. It's a new center that opened up in the North Shore University Hospital in Manhasset, and it's the Caregiver Center. It's a beautiful facility. They actually sent me some pictures of it, and there's big windows, there's sun coming in, and it's really to create kind of an atmosphere for whether you're actually, you have a loved one in the hospital, or you're an outsider, and that wants to utilize it. And there's a social worker that is there, and there's also going to be a peer-to-peer program that they're developing.
So they're providing services for the caregiver?
For the caregiver, yeah.
That's wonderful.
And I gave them all this information about Project Independence, so they want to partner. So I'm sending them brochures. They'll have ours, because they just want to kind of build their network to give. So I think that is really exciting. It's going to it just literally just launched, and they'll have all different kinds of resources and support and different groups that they're going to provide, and outreach calls that they're interested in doing. So it's really exciting to have this new partner for Project Independence. So if you want more information on that, you can call 311. And they'll also be on our radio show.
How would you define a caregiver? I mean, there's certainly a range. A lot of people don't look at themselves as a caregiver.
I know, because that's what I always laugh. You know, you'll ask someone, they're like, no, it's my husband. I'm not taking, you know, it's my dad. You know, no one's
right. You know, but I like it would be interesting to kind of define, how do you know if you're an official caregiver? And I think it really means, you know, if you have to change your life in any way to assist someone that you live with, or, you know, and because it impacts your life, you know, maybe you're assisting lifting someone occasionally, or maybe it's, you know, the whole feeding someone, or maybe it's even temporary.
But, you know, it's just, and during this time, it's, you know, been so difficult for them, you know, because they're under normal circumstances.
Yeah.
They could be involved in these respite programs, you know, where the caregiver can kind of get a break and do what they need to do while knowing that their loved one is being safely taken care of. So that has certainly, I think, taken a major hit during this pandemic, because often the caregiver doesn't think of, you know, taking care of themselves because they're taking care of someone else.
Right.
Well, I think a lot of times, I'm sorry, but a lot of times the caregiver image is one of physical caregiving.
Right.
I believe that there's a lot more than that. There are situations where maybe you're the person who takes care of making appointments with doctors and going to the doctor and communicating, or handling their bills or shopping or whatever. And maybe the person is able to take care of their personal needs, but you're giving help in a lot of other areas. You know, that this person maybe isn't up to doing, or maybe, who knows, physically, mentally, whatever. Yeah, like you pointed out, Rebecca, I think there's a complete range that starts with, I'm just doing a few things here and there. Yeah, I believe that people sometimes don't realize that they are a caregiver, whether they know it or not. Caregiving to me is not just, like, I've been through things in my life with my father and mother. My mother lived with us for 11 years. In the beginning, the caregiving was, she was there and we didn't do too much. But then as time evolved, you get involved with doctor's appointments, and you're the one who talks to the doctor, and you're the one who handles all the paperwork, and you're the one who finds out you have to get somebody to come in and help, because now all of a sudden personal care becomes more of an issue. So I think there's many stages to caregiving, and I think people should realize that. And maybe you're the one who has to provide guidance as far as the Medicare gap policies go that somebody ought to have, or, you know, that's why a program like this is really almost more geared to caregiving than the person themselves. A lot of the people who need the help are really not going to be able to do it. You know, they can listen to all the great things that we talk about, but maybe they can't implement any of these things. So people who are caregivers could be under 60, most of them. And I believe that our audience for this show has really become, in our own eyes, much bigger than we realized in the beginning. In the beginning, I think we were looking at this thing as you had to be 60 and over. I don't buy that anymore. I think a grandchild who's 25 or 30, who may be the caregiver, whether they know it or not, like Kristina, you were involved with your grandfather. You know, you were caregiving in your own way. And, you know, the more you know, the more you learn, the better off you're going to be at being able to help somebody you love and care for. And, you know.
No, you're so right. You know, and that's what we actually talked about at the anniversary show. I remember we were saying just the evolution of, you know, not only Project Independence, but this radio show program. You know, it was a senior-based, very heavy on senior issues. And it's really, I mean, where it's still, you know, the overall theme of things, it's become really a community kind of service program. You know, the topics are really things that aren't just pertaining to seniors, you know, and it's something you could take in your own life, or if you're caring for someone. So it's exciting that it's really become something so much bigger, you know, and especially during this different Zoom format, you know, we've had so many guests on from all different, you know, walks of life and organizations and government. It's really just been such a blessing for us to be able to have this forum, to really have those people tell us, you know, they're the most knowledgeable in their, whatever their topic might be. So it's really wonderful to do. I also, because we're in the last segment, I want to let people know that our St. Francis cardiac screening van is going around doing screenings and giving out flu shots. It's going to be under an awning if the weather is nice. If the weather is not nice, it's going to be inside in a socially distanced kind of space. So call 311 for that information, because it's going all around the town, which I think is really wonderful. We also were touched upon it before, the Medicare 2021 program. We just had the first one was 2 days ago, I believe, which is via Zoom. And Barry Klitzberg, who we've had on our program, he's from the Nassau County HICAP program, and he's going to tell you about all the different changes, kind of what might fit for you. He's wonderful, and it's such a great topic, important to do. So that I know is very well attended. There is one more left, and that's going to be on Wednesday, October 14th at 1 p.m. So you can call 311 or 869-6311 to get the Zoom link for that. I also want people to know we have all of our social groups are meeting, whether it's a social discussion group or a men's discussion group. We have a World in Motion current events group that meets. We have recently, just this month, our caregiver to a spouse support group just started meeting via Zoom, which I'm really happy, because I know that group was so important for so many people. So the fact that we're able to do that now via Zoom, and that's every Wednesday at 3 p.m. via Zoom. So there's still space for that if you're interested in participating. And I think it's great. And I want to always, you know, encourage people that, especially doing something like this and staying connected, it's really good for your mental health. You know, I say about this show all the time, you know, just being able to be on here and kind of talk and just think and, you know, get your brain stimulated serves that purpose for myself too. So I encourage everyone, you know, if you're able to participate in this. Also, the town has it's coming up, it's the last of the year, is the fall stop events. The STOP program is a very, very popular program over in North Hempstead. And I hope while people have been home, they've been going through stuff, thinking about stuff to get rid of. It's a perfect time, you're trapped at home, to do. So that's going to be Saturday, October 17th and Sunday, October 18th over at the North Hempstead Beach parking lot from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can dispose of items, obviously, that are too dangerous to throw in your regular garbage, or, you know, any kind of chemical waste thing. So these items are aerosols, household chemicals, pesticides, disinfectants, fertilizers, TVs, lithium batteries, computers, oil-based paints. There's tons of things. You can call 311 to get all the information there. And it's really great because you kind of just sit in your car and there's little stops and there's a little drive-through and someone will take it out. So it's really a great program and a safe program at that. So definitely check that out. Also in the Medicare domain, Medicare Part D is something that's very important to a lot of our residents, because a lot of our residents are on all different kinds of prescription medication. And this is a very individualized kind of thing. What plan will fit whatever, you know, medication you're on. And prior to this, when we had in-person things, you know, a senior would come, bring their brown bag of their medications, sit down with a pharmacist and kind of go over what plan would be best for them. So we had to get creative, and we did. So partnered again with our fabulous St. John's University. They're going to be providing phone appointments, individual phone appointments, you know, with a pharmacist to discuss which Medicare Part D plan is best for you.
That's so great.
Yeah, you just need a list of your current medications, and you would call 311, and you'll get a nurse, a PI nurse will call you back, give you a time slot, and you'll still be able to do that, because I know that was such, ever at the end of those sessions, we always get a message sent from one of our PI nurses about the amount of money that was saved, and it's always an astronomical
That's
number.
a great point.
Yeah, so it's, and like I said, it's a very individualized thing. So what works for you might not work for me, and I think it's really great to talk to a pharmacist.
That's awesome. That's a great program.
So that's October 20th.
The other thing is what worked this year may not work as well next year. Changes the where they put drugs, what tier.
Of course,
they put them in, changes, and they're different from company to company.
Absolutely. So that's and there's going to be 2 November dates as well if October 20th doesn't work for you, which is November 10th and November 18th. So you'll still have those dates available as well. So definitely check that out. Another topic that's getting quite the buzz is the new technology for the terrified, which is how to sell stuff on the internet. We're getting a lot of people registering for this one, because I think everyone is like, wants to get rid of stuff, and to sell it and get money for it is even better. So there is so many different apps and ways to do that online now. My cousin, all the time, I say she's constantly selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace and gets like a decent amount of money. I'm very impressed with like what she like pulls in, and it's like stuff that she just doesn't need anymore. So it's really there's so many different ways to do this. So our tech guru, Barbara Melman, will be providing this chat on Tuesday, October 27th at 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. So if you're interested in participating via Zoom, call 311. Also that day, you can just really jam pack your day, with all these topics, is the importance of scheduling an inpatient doctor visit and the safety measures that are in place. This is something that came up a lot in a lot of our groups, because people were kind of fearful to go to doctors for their routine kind of things, because they figure like, I'm going to avoid at all costs a doctor's office unless it's like an emergency, which we know isn't the best thing to do. So we're partnering with Northwell Health Geriatrics. There's 2 doctors that are actually going to come on and present this to really tell you, certain things, you are able to do via Zoom, with a doctor, but other things are really something that needs to be done in person. And, I've been to doctors for routine stuff, and there really are precautions. So I think, this is really to educate and ease some of the concerns that seniors might have. So I think this is a really, really important chat. I hope people take advantage of this, because the speakers are going to be certainly wonderful for that. So that is 11 a.m. on October 27th. So check that out.
I'm going to add something to that, by the way. It's important to visit your dentist also.
Oh, yeah.
I have to do that. That's on my to-do list.
Seniors tend to sometimes, first of all, most of us don't like to go to the dentist.
Yeah.
I find no great joy in it myself.
Right.
But it's important that you go, because any kind of problem in your mouth is going to be a problem in the rest of your body.
That's right. It's the doorway.
Yes.
To the body. It's true.
Yes.
It's true.
Absolutely. So that's definitely important to do. And, I just want to tell you that there's so many different programs. And if you can't remember all these and you just want to know what's going on, you could always just call 311. They have, a list of everything that we have going on. So,
and, of course, the transportation program is going. It's still cashless. You have to call 311. We are at the last minute. So want to also thank Dan Cox, the director of WCWP.org, Otto Los co-hosts, Kristina Liu, the extraordinary
fabulous Rebecca Miller. Thank you as always for being an awesome host of the show.
And a shout out to John Ryan.
Absolutely. We love him very much.
We love John Ryan. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. You've been listening to Project Independence and You here at WCWP.org.